Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Carrie Cootie, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jen.
Hi there, I'm Jen, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women to discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey.
Hey there, and welcome back into the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast. It's Carrie and Jen here, and we're excited to be back for another episode. And today we're going to be talking about red light. We've actually gotten several questions about this. We often just use it with clients. We use it with ourselves. Jen has a really great story about using it with a family member. And so we're excited to go over some of the benefits of red light and give you some really practical information on how to use it, what the benefits are, et cetera, because I know it's definitely becoming more, I don't want to say like mainstream, but popular. And so I hope that we can help you just kind of decide, like, is it right for you to purchase a red light device right now? Is it something that you want to save for, depending on where you're at and what your budget and needs might be? So we hope it's helpful.
Yes. So a lot of people don't even know what red light is. So I guess we could start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So red light uses very specific wavelengths of light, some visible, some invisible. The particular one that Carrie and I use is the spectrum between the red and the infrared. So that's about 600 to 900-ish nanometers. So again, the red and infrared, so near infrared. So the red you can see, the near infrared you can't, but you can feel the warmth, obviously, of the near infrared. And what it does is it penetrates the skin to promote various biological processes. So the main one is enhances cellular function. So it helps the cell do its job, basically, specifically the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, right? That's where you get your energy. It increases collagen production. You'll see it a lot. They use a type of red light in like the anesthetician's offices, like after a facial or something, they'll use it to build, obviously, skin. But it'll work on an injury, obviously, too, building collagen. So and then improving circulation. So the story I'll tell you in a minute is actually my dad, who's diabetic. So, and he had a wound on his foot. So obviously circulation was impaired. So anything to help circulation, red light would be a huge benefit. And because you're working on the mitochondria, you see, right, when the cell functions better, then the organ or gland functions better. And so you see improvement across the board, right? If you're using it regularly. So things like energy, sleep, even cognition, mood, we'll all see improvements. It's not immediate, right? It's over time with some of those things depending. But I do want to talk a little bit more on specifics. So the specific light that I have, and we'll talk about just a couple that we like and recommend. We recommend the Midwest lights. They're really affordable, really great lights. The specific one that I have, which is the half body panel, it has the 660 nanometers and the 850, which is the red and infrared. which, for again, we used it on a diabetic wound on a foot. It was a huge wound. My dad had worn a cast and it had rubbed a big wound. Um, and knowing that the circulation and cell activity isn't good because of the neuropathy, right? He's lost a lot of nerve function, blood flow. So, with that, we did use the red light daily for 20 minutes. And we'll talk a little bit more about how often and all that sort of thing. But the red and the infrared does penetrate skin and tissues. I have read some things. I think it'll depend on the wattage that it can go to bone. I don't know enough about that, to be honest, to speak
Yeah.
to it. But I know there are some lights powerful enough to do that. I imagine, again, it would probably depend on the wattage. But the mitochondrial activation is the main thing. Remember, the powerhouse of the cell. So it's increasing or stimulating the mitochondria, improving energy production, or ATP, if you've heard that word.
I'm wondering if we should just chat a few minutes about why that's really important because, I think we've heard, listeners have probably heard about mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, but I was just thinking about how many things damage the mitochondria, why it really we need to be and doing things. This is one way, obviously, you can strengthen the mitochondria. There are others, but what comes to your mind when you think about what damages the mitochondria and why it's so important
Yeah, sure.
to
So
build it up?
immune things will damage the mitochondria, long-term illness, toxins, obviously metals,
Yeah.
really any stressor will damage the mitochondria.
Yeah.
But the main ones I have seen are toxins, like long-term exposures, and it could be really low level.
Right. And we just all come in contact with those things daily. It's not, doesn't have to be this big one time thing. It's typically low levels, like she was saying, over a long period of time. And it's just kind of the world that we live in,
Yeah,
honestly,
right.
unfortunately. So, really, that is why most everyone could benefit from something like this to help rebuild the mitochondria.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you'll notice with mitochondrial, damage or deficiency is that your energy is really lacking.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you don't have that get up and go, ATP production, which is your energy for the cell, right, isn't working well. Also, cell membranes. We
Yeah.
we harp on this. I know we do a lot of it in the practice. Is really work on cell membranes. The mitochondria have a cell membrane too that needs to be replaced, and
Hmm.
if it's broken, that cell membrane isn't working well, you'll be leaking ATP. You'll be leaking energy, basically.
Yeah.
Now, red light won't help with repair that. We'll save
Yeah.
that for another episode, but
I know that might be a good another episode, what all helps rebuild the cell and why is that important? We
yeah.
should remember that. Coming
We
soon.
will. So anyway, getting that mitochondria working is huge. Now, I feel a difference, with the history of Lyme and mold. I physically feel different after sitting in front of the red light, especially in the winter. We don't get a lot of red and infrared, where I live. And so ideally, I'm getting a little off, but if you can do it when you're getting a lot of the red and infrared, which would be in the morning or right before
Yeah.
sunset, that's
Right.
ideal.
Right.
But you can really do it any time of day. Anyway, so stimulating the mitochondria energy production, because this extra energy helps support just repair, regeneration, it reduces inflammation. Remember, inflammation in itself isn't bad. It's a repair process, right? It's unresolved inflammation
Yeah.
that is the problem. So this will help you complete that inflammation cycle, right? Help the cell do its job. Um, it also helps to modulate something called ROS, or reactive oxygen species. So this is something, when the body is trying to heal or it's exposed to toxins, it produces this ROS. And so it can actually control the ROS, so it'll allow the body to heal in a timely fashion. And then, we mentioned increasing circulation and encourages nitric oxide release. You may have heard that before. There's lots of supplements now on the
Yeah.
market that helping with nitrogen oxide release for cardiovascular health. So it increases blood flow and oxygen delivery, which is really huge. I mean, if you look at the benefits of red light, it's like everything that
Yeah.
we're all fighting as we're, aging, or there's an
Mhm.
injury or chronic illness, or, something.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, admittedly, I love that red light has all these benefits, but I really use it for circadian rhythm support.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, and so I wanted to just talk just a tiny bit about that because I think maybe you've heard that before, but you don't really know why it matters that you get red light. So when you go outside first thing in the morning, which we've done episodes on in the past, so we'll have to link those below, that go way more into depth about circadian rhythm. But whenever you go outside in the morning or it's sunrise or sunset, there's way more red light, red rays. And so as the sun goes throughout the day and goes higher in the sky, there's more blue in the rays. And so we need all of those, but
Right.
the problem is we need them at the correct times in the day to signal to our body of what time of day it is. And so it's our body gets very confused when we get blue light at night because it really should be only during the day. And so that's why obviously blocking blue light at night is so important. But I think about red light using it more during the winter because we're not outside as much. And as Jen said, like if you live in colder climates, you're really not outside hardly at all. Like I can get outside in Georgia more than she can in Ohio. So, but I still like to use it because the days are shorter too, right? In the winter. And so we're just not exposed to as much sunlight and we're usually inside more, which we get more blue light all the time. So I think it's way more important, in my opinion, if you're just going to kind of maybe start this time of year, like right when we're releasing this recording, it's already probably time changed. And so the days are much shorter. So it would be a really great time to maybe invest in something like this to really try and just nurture your circadian rhythm so that, melatonin is usually higher in the winter and that can really serve so many benefits, which is a whole nother topic. But that's kind of my spiel on why I think it's very important for circadian rhythm.
Yeah. And we're just talking about red and near infrared. Now, there's other spectrum of light like
Yeah.
UVA, UVA rays. Those are all important. And again, it depends on your solar tolerance or how you can tolerate. But just so you know, even sitting under greenery in the shade, the greenery actually reflects some of that light, and so if you will absorb it through your skin,
Yeah.
if you have short sleeves on or you're in shorts or something. So I know some people, maybe if you're redheaded and you have really just a
Yeah.
really light skin, you can't be directly, now we're not talking about that type of light, but I just wanted to throw that in there, since Carrie, brought up the spectrum of light. But,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can get near infrared, and, red from other things like campfire. So
Yeah.
if you're
That's
outside,
true.
saunas will give you near infrared.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's red light in those. Um I know baths or hot springs, we don't have any where I live, but,
Yeah.
those can be, sources too, or even, cuddling the warmth from someone else. Someone
Hmm.
else, is the heat, is the near, that type of heat. But anyway,
That's cool.
getting off track. So those are some other ways that you can get it besides the red light. But Carrie, do you wanna talk about some of the benefits?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, circadian rhythm support, which would obviously really help with sleep. It would help with hormones, honestly, too. So many different things, right, that we've talked about. And so we'll link that episode if
Imbalances.
you're really interested in that. It can help hair growth because it can stimulate the follicles. It definitely can help with like recovery, performance. Jen already mentioned wound healing. Of course, the collagen stimulation benefits would be like anti-aging. Um, definitely some cognitive benefits as well. I would think, that would go back to the mitochondria, it would go back to the increased blood flow. Um, it would be really helpful for somebody with like Alzheimer's or dementia or even anxiety to really help get those mitochondria healthier, which obviously the mitochondria in the cell, like everything starts with that, right? That really affects how your organs and your tissues and your whole body works. So this really affects you at a cellular level, which is super important for strengthening your foundation overall.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
think the benefits would just be those, right? There's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, that's specifically why we brought the red light was for just seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
We tried it with a couple of, one of my family members. So I think the depression and anxiety, again, because we're missing, especially where I live in the northern climates, it's actually being studied now for traumatic brain injury and dementia, brain injury, like Carrie said, depression and anxiety. So,
Yeah.
um, that all ties back again to circadian rhythm, sleep quality. As Carrie mentioned, it will improve melatonin production and possibly sleep quality if you do it at dusk. So right, about within the hour of the sun setting is when you're getting most of that red light, which would be great to help, especially in the winter with melatonin production, because that's what we're focused on. Because we don't have much of the UV rays. It's for the vitamin D, and so
Yeah.
melatonin takes over for that. And then, it helps. It's been shown to reduce the inflammatory cytokines, right?
Mhm.
And modulate immune activity, which is huge. Again, especially in the
Yeah,
winter. Again, we're probably not exposed to that light in the winter. Another piece of maybe that's why we get sick more often in the winter,
for
uh,
sure.
because we don't have those. And again, we are talking about the red light panels, but there are other sources, like I said. So don't feel like you have to get the red light's just super convenient.
Yeah.
So exposure, um, this is that can be varying, and again, it's really what is right for you, what you're using it for. But these I would say are general parameters. You usually want to use the red light about a foot away from you and start it at about 5 minutes. Again, ideally in the morning or in the evening before sunset, because that's when you're getting that spectrum of light, and then building up to 20 plus minutes. Um, you know, 2 to 6 days per week, is ideal. Now, there is something called a biphasic dose response, which means you can get too much and there'll be an opposite reaction. So you wanna
Mm.
make sure you're sorta within that window. So if it's spring, summer, or fall, still getting, sunlight on your body, um, 20 minutes ideally, 3 or 4 times a day is ideal. And as I said, sitting in the shade, the green does reflect the near infrared back to the body. So you can work in the shade, you can walk in the woods, still having, the skin exposed. Again, and this is consistency. So if you're doing the first morning light, if you're using the red light at night, it's the consistency that matters, not the
Yeah,
amount of time. So even if you could do 5 to 10 minutes every day is better than, say, doing a half hour once a week. Um,
right.
so consistency is really what matters. It's not an instant, although you do feel better. I notice a difference even with one session, with one
Mhm.
20-minute session. Um, and again, the dose does matter, so make sure, you're not getting too much because that can reduce the effectiveness. You should they suggest you wear eye protection. With that being said, I've seen some studies where it actually repaired some eye issues, but that might be, not direct. You don't want to look directly at the light.
Yeah.
And then quality. Not all the devices are created equal. I know a lot of people, just going on Amazon and buying a device. The wavelength
Mhm.
matters. The wavelength is probably one of the most important things. You have to have the right wavelengths. The
Yeah.
660 and the 850, which is through the Midwest, is what we get. I know what's the other one? Think it's Soleil, I'll have to get back to you, but, I believe, they add 2 more spectrums of light, and then the wattage, so make sure you're getting a device, that's recommended, and we'll give you one that we use and,
Yeah.
swear by. Again, I use the Midwest light, the half body panel with my dad's, diabetic ulcer on his foot, and I could not I mean, the pictures were the before and after. Even the
Yeah.
doctors were like, "I can't believe how fast this healed." Um,
Praise the
so
Lord.
yeah, amen is right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just make sure you're getting the right wavelength, of red and infrared, and the quality. And again, we'll list those, in there. But we hope if you have questions on this,
Yeah.
reach out, ask us. We don't want to make this too complicated, but we really believe in the effects, of red light and the power of the red light. And it's a pretty affordable way if you're looking for things. A lot of professional athletes use these, for muscle recovery and performance. I've seen some of those studies. But again, wound healing, I can't recommend it enough. I've seen it with
Yeah.
my own eyes. Or mitochondrial repair. I know for me, with my history, I do notice a difference. So again, if you have questions, we would love to answer them. If there's anything else, but we don't don't make it too complicated. Again, if you can't afford to even get a red light, campfire, exercise, cuddling, those are all still great things where you get the near infrared. There's even infrared bulbs. So yeah, reach out. But if you have any other questions that we didn't answer, we'd love to answer them. So till next time. If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you'd share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.